Welcome to the Disrupted Podcast, where we talk about investing in technology that's changing the world as we know it. So, Tesla just had earnings the other day, and today we're going to go over our takeaways from the earnings. So, Roberts, I'd like you to take over from here. So, let's start with Dojo. What are your thoughts on Dojo?
Well, before we get into that, I guess the biggest reason why we're doing this earnings call is just to add a little bit more transparency into
Mm-hmm.
the company. Like I don't know if someone was watching the videos earlier and they bought Tesla shares based on what we were saying about it. They were really hyped about the future, and the earnings come out and the stock drops, right? And now it's, oh no, something's not right. There's a lot of fear. Um, I want to go ahead and I guess kind of clear some things up. Not really clear things up, but just kind of give you an understanding of what I look for when I hear an earnings call. I try not to focus too much on what happens in the earnings call
Mm-hmm.
because it's short term things. But every once in a while, I will hear their goals kind of opened up, or I'll hear more information regarding their goals for the long term, and that's what I like to focus on. You just have to have that long term mindset, and when you hear that they don't meet expectations or they don't blow out expectations the way everyone thought, well, most likely there's reasons for that, and if it's not something that's a fundamental issue,
Yep.
then it's okay. It's okay to continue to invest, and you see this as an opportunity to at go shopping, grocery shopping, on a
True.
discount.
True.
So,
True. I like that. I like that perspective. But yeah, it's always important to come back to that to explain this to most people, because most people, again, this is normal. It's human nature. We're mostly short-term minded. We're profit driven. And for new investors that come into the market, thinking Tesla is all that, which I think it is, again, but is all about a long-term perspective. In the short term, stock prices don't matter, right? It doesn't matter if Tesla falls down to whatever tomorrow, right? As far as, like you said, the fundamentals are still straight. They have a great leader. As far as they're still on the right track, you just gotta stick with it and grow with Tesla. But yeah, go ahead and take it away.
yeah, he also spoke about the chip shortage.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't something that's affecting one company. Every company in the world, they're affected by it.
Mm-hmm.
The good companies will have the foresight to see that, hey, chip manufacturers are going to shut down, or
That's right.
I don't know, are they shutting down, or is it they've moved their supplies to different companies, or they've moved their manufacturing to different companies? Do you know exactly what's happening with the chip shortage?
To be honest, I'm not exactly sure. I just know there's some shortage going on right now. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure how. I just know there is.
Well, regardless of that, good companies, good CEOs, they can pivot, right? Instead of just saying, "Oh, the world is burning. I'm just going to sit here in this fire." No, it's like, okay. So what can we do to maximize our gains during this shortage? And I feel like they were able to do that. I'm sure it wasn't as perfect as they would like, but I'm sure they
Mm-hmm.
made the appropriate steps to navigate through this chip shortage thing. Um, and on the call, he did mention something about Dojo and whether or not it can be licensed, kind of like AWS is.
AWS. Yep. I've always wondered that. But so yeah, what was your take on that?
Yeah. So first, it's best to understand what it is, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm an expert. I
Yep.
don't really know exactly what it is, but on a real high level, uh,
Mm,
they needed a machine that would teach their vehicles how to drive autonomously. Well, they couldn't find a company who would be able to manufacture a chip that they need. So they said, okay, well, in normal Tesla fashion, we're going to do it ourselves. So they went ahead and created this, I guess, what do you call a pack of computers together? What is that thing called? Um,
pack
like
of
a
computers,
computer, what? It's a bank of a bunch of computers. What is that called? What do you call that?
a bank of computers.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Well, anyway, it's a bunch of hardware that comes together, and
Hmm.
that hardware is ran by a software. And what the software does is it collects the data and it trains itself on the data that comes in. And just so happens that they're trying to figure out how to, master full self-driving. And so that's what that software is doing. And Now the licensing part.
Oh
um,
yeah.
the software is training how to label in a 3D environment. So what is a 3D environment? Look around you. It's everywhere, right? So you can use
Mm,
it to train vehicles on how to navigate on the road. You can use it to train drones to navigate autonomously. Say you have a manufacturing plant that want to move packages from one part of the plant to the next, but you don't want to have any kind of set, something that's controlled by a person. You want it to do it on its own. So you could theoretically hire out this software that Tesla has created, provide your data on what the plant looks like, have that software label different parts of the plant, and then train the drones to navigate through the plant autonomously. And as the more data it gets, the more efficient it is able to move packages from one part to the next. And I'm sure you can come up with many other ideas on what you would want to operate autonomously. That doesn't have to be full self-driving cars or drone shipping. So
wow. This is. Do we know if, because if it's just a computer that does neural network training, right? It can this can functionality can pretty much be applied to almost anything you can think of, not just autopilot, facial recognition. That is that's AI. Just any way you can think of AI, this is a play. So I feel like this opens up a whole new revenue stream. And in my opinion, if it's what I think it is, or it's kind of what you described, I feel like this could as much be the biggest money maker for Tesla in the future. If it's what I think it is. You see what I'm saying?
yeah, so it all depends on how much that information is worth, or how much being able to navigate autonomously is worth. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to assume that it's worth more than $2. So
I agree.
put a number
I
on it
agree.
however you want. But
I
if you
agree.
think about it, okay, so why is Amazon doing so well? Well, they have a system, pretty much what Dojo is. Um, and I guess Dojo is the name of the hardware pack that they use. I don't know if I mentioned that or if you mentioned that, but it's
Mm-hmm.
called Dojo. And so does Google. Same thing, machine learning.
Mm-hmm.
If you master that, there are going to be lots of companies who want to use that.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that's just another thing that would add to their revenue. And since anyone who would do any kind of research, you would understand that software revenue has very high margins.
Oh, very high. Very, very high. That's why Facebook is such a cash printing machine right now, because it's pure software. But yeah, I'm really excited to see um where Dojo is headed and the plans Elon makes for Dojo. So I'm sure he has really big plans for it. But yeah, moving on to the automotive, because obviously Tesla, first and foremost, is a car company, right? So as far as, well, technically they're not right now.
As of right
Yeah,
now, yeah,
exactly. So as far,
it's cars. They're producing cars right now.
exactly. So as far as projections for the next few years, as far as car deliveries, what's your take on that?
Well, in the call, he said that the the Model Y will be the most sold vehicle in 2022, maybe in 2023.
Hmm.
Um, that makes sense.
That does make sense.
If
That does.
you The most sold platform is usually sports utility vehicles, SUVs.
Mm-hmm. I know
That's
in 2019, I believe it was the Corolla, right? Toyota
Corolla.
Corolla. Yeah, in 2019.
Yeah,
But
but
yeah,
that's a whole other beast.
mhm,
Um, but it's like Corolla and then a bunch of SUVs.
correct. That is correct.
And I don't want to say what I think, but this is what he said. He said they'll be able to outsell the Corolla, or
Wow.
um, at least get close to it, right?
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so if you think about it, this year they're going to sell around 800 to a million vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
So they usually sell about, I don't want to get into numbers, but a large majority of that 800 to a million vehicles will be Model Ys. This is before they have 2 additional plants being fully completed.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to say like this is exactly what they're going to do. However, if you look, they've got 2 plants that are in production. They should be done this year, and they also have 2 more plants that they're continuing to grow their capacity. And they only sell 4 cars, right? Model Y, Model 3, X, and
Yep.
S, right?
Correct.
So if you're
Correct.
planning on selling maybe 1.5, 2 million cars, maybe even 3 million cars by 2023, I mean, you just do the math.
True.
Yeah.
True. True.
Whatever it is, it'll be more than what it was last year. So, and every year it's going to grow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the mindset that you want to have. As far as getting down to the specifics,
Mm.
you want to do numbers. One thing you want to look out for is their margins.
Oh yeah.
When they produce a vehicle, say for example, they produce a vehicle that's worth $100. $20 of that is pure profit.
True.
Now, I've been getting mixed data, but if you compare that to other car manufacturers, it's not that high. Usually it's around what is it, $8 to $18, somewhere around there, depending on
Mm-hmm.
who you are for a manufacturer. That's Toyota, GM, Ford, all of those. Their margins aren't as high as Tesla is what they're doing today.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's another knock on the company. This is the very first thing you'll hear when you say, "Oh yeah, I just invested in Tesla." They'll say, "Well, they can't make money without what is it? Credits?
Credits. Yeah. Yeah. Credits. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, regulatory credit."
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Is that something that bothers you, that they can only make money with regulatory credits, or?
No, I feel like it's part of the game. It's because okay, I my undergrad I was a electrical engineer, right? So I worked for we had this project where we had to study how electricity is generated and sent to the houses, just pretty much from the grid and transmitted to the houses, right? And this is how it works. It's every day ahead of the next day. My school was back in Tennessee. So back in Tennessee, I think it was TVA. That was the Tennessee board of that managed the electricity in Tennessee. So ahead of tomorrow, they have a meeting today. Okay, the meeting today is just to find the cutoff price of where they'll be selling electricity tomorrow. What do I mean by that? Like all the electricity providers are gonna meet up in a room, but they probably do it virtually, but they meet up in this. Yeah, exactly. They meet up, they decide, hey, so whoever the moderator is starts the meeting of saying, okay, hey, who can provide me the cheapest electricity tomorrow? So say for instance, Robert, you own a company, you're like, hey, I can provide 3 cents a kilowatt hour. All right, I can provide this amount of electricity at 3 cents a kilowatt, something like that, right? You try the cheap number. So now everyone has to bid. So the lowest number. So once they get people in, companies are gonna bid. So say Tennessee needs, I'm just gonna try the number. They need 200 watts. Okay, this is not realistic, right? Tennessee is gonna need millions of watts, but yeah, but say they need 200 watts. So they're gonna pick all the cheapest people up until where they get up to 200 watts that the city needs, and then a few backup. There has to be some tolerance. So maybe they're gonna pick up to 210, where the other 10 watts is just backup in case someone goes down. So they're gonna charge at the price of the highest person, as the highest bidder who made that 200 watts. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So say, for instance, you were the cheapest guy, you could provide electricity at 3 cents, but I was the most expensive of all the people who got to the 200 cutoff mark, and I could provide at 6 cents per kilowatt. So everyone who makes the cuts gets to sell at 6 cents. Okay. So meaning you, although you can provide it cheaper, you're making the difference.
Right.
But how exactly? However, now for those people who can't make the cuts, so some companies can't make the cuts. So for instance, and also some companies, it costs them more to turn off the electricity than it is to turn it back on. For example, is companies that create electricity through like nuclear energy, right? they can't just turn off the reactor. It takes days to turn it on. And it takes so much power and so much money to turn it back on. So what they do is they come to you and say, hey, Robert, I know you can make your electricity for this. However, I want to pay you 10 cents an hour just so I can provide electricity in place for you. So that is pretty much what Tesla is doing. So a bunch of the traditional car makers are polluting the environments right now. The government has a limit, say, hey, you have to meet this cutoff. If you don't meet it, you have to pay the guy who is well below it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty, so it's part of the business. It exists in the electrical industry, which again, that's why I believe once Tesla energy comes, that comes up to par with some of these institutions that supply electricity, they are also going to be collecting more credits because of the way the electrical system works. So it's part of the game. They've worked so hard. They've made the sacrifices up front to reduce emissions, and now they're just reaping the benefit of the work they did. So I feel it's part of the game, and it has to be there, because again, if you don't put taxes on things like that, people are just going to act stupidly, right? So you have to put a tax, say, hey, if you can't meet this cutoff of electricity or this cutoff of pollution, hey, you're going to have to pay the guy who's doing a better job, because he's technically taking some of that pollution from you. The pollution Tesla is supposed to be making, they're not making it. You see what I'm saying? Everyone else is. So I feel it's part of the game. And I feel Tesla, even if you took that away, they are still going to be profitable. They still are. So that's why I don't have a problem with that. Yeah. Sorry, I rambled off.
No, that's good. Yeah. It's so your analogy was with electricity production, right?
Correct.
Clean electricity, dirty electricity.
Exactly.
I'll try to, let me see if I can. So I'm going to do the air quotes. Tesla makes clean cars, right? Every manufacturing process, you're going to have pollution.
Exactly.
But the exhaust that comes out of the tailpipe, Tesla's clean, right? Manufacturers or their competitors make dirty cars, right? Because the exhaust comes out and we don't want that carbon in our atmosphere. So they make dirty cars. Well, the government says, hey, we're going to punish everyone who makes dirty cars. We're going to charge them this amount of money. And if you continue to make dirty cars, the only way to get out of that is to have a credit. And so if you make a clean car, we'll give you a credit. Well, Tesla makes clean cars. So the government said, hey, congratulations, you made all these clean cars. Here's your credit. Tesla's like, okay, fine, I don't want this, whatever. So they put it in a drawer somewhere, maybe file 13. And other manufacturers like, oh, we can't make as many clean cars as Tesla can. And they've got all these credits. We're just going to go over there and buy them from you instead of having to pay the government, right?
True.
That's what the regulatory credits is. And so now this quarter, Tesla has received more money in regulatory credits than they have in any quarter.
Yep, I believe it was like 500 million, $500 million. That was a lot. That was a lot.
Yeah. So let's think about this. Let's just go through this scenario. Tell me if this makes sense. I just started a company, and my main goal is to accelerate the world to sustainable energy, right? That's all I want to do. And to do that, that's going to cost, right? I have to design my own vehicles. I have to manufacture my own vehicles. I have to source my own parts, because everyone else, their design processes doesn't complement accelerating the world, okay? So that's expensive. So that means I have to build my own factories, do my own research and development. And it just so happens that the byproduct of all of that is the government is paying me in credits. And so what do? Do I just hold on to those credits and do nothing with it? Or do I sell those credits to the dirty manufacturers, right, and use that money to grow my business? So, and that's essentially what's happening. Competitors are paying Tesla so Tesla can grow. And
that is true.
Right now, they are putting every dollar they have into growing and becoming a larger company. And I think it would be irresponsible to say that this company can't make profits unless they sell those regulatory credits. Because if we go back and look, every vehicle that they make, say if they sold a vehicle for $100,000, $20,000 or sorry, yeah, $100,000, $20,000 would be profit, right? So
Correct.
they can either take that profit to grow, or they can take it and hoard it, not grow, but say, hey, we're making all this money every quarter. So, like, what do you want to do? Like, why are we talking about this? And
Sure.
so then on top of that, we know that every car you make is making money.
Mm-hmm.
You plan on making millions upon millions of cars later. What's going to happen to your profits?
So true.
Yeah, it's not
So
like
true. So
I'm
true. So true.
rambling. I need to bring it back down. But yeah, you go ahead and we'll move on to the next question. But
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, no, that was really really good explanation of it. But yeah, so moving on to the next question. So two more questions. The first one is, as far as full self driving, what's the update on that? Is that
yeah,
still coming this year? Should we expect that this year?
I said this year, didn't I? At the end of the year.
Yep.
Um, I'll be surprised. And let me think. So we've got a list of beta testers
Mm-hmm.
who are ready and willing to test the product.
Yep, we do.
And so far, they've done so safely. There's reportedly no crashes using the beta. Now, I've seen videos where it clipped the curb, but that's not a
Mm-hmm.
crash. I do that once.
You do that.
So,
Me too.
yeah, right. Oh, I'm sure we could have a whole list of things I've done bumped into. But so you've got this group of people who are ready to test out the product.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they're holding it back because they need to improve it at a rate where it's not safe to release, because there's beta testers who's ready and they can just expand that to another 1,000. I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is, once they release this, it needs to be so good that it's idiot proof.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm trying to be nice, but this software isn't something that is going to be perfect when it's first released.
Yep.
So you're going to have it released. There's going to be some guy's child picks it up, tries to impress his high school friends, sits on the roof of the car while it's driving autonomously, and it doesn't quite see something, and it says, "Hey, I need you to go ahead and take over." He can't take over in time. He has an accident, and the first thing you're going to hear is the full self-driving is bad.
True.
So I think that what they're trying to do is make it as safe as they could humanly possible, safe as humanly possible.
Mm-hmm.
Once that's done, then they'll release it.
Yep.
I think that it's ready to be released to the public today. However, it's not idiot proof, and they need to do more things to to fight Darwin.
Fight Darwin. Survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
More like survival of the smartest.
I mean, I don't think it's a thing of smartness. It's just people just do dumb stuff, and
That is true. That is true.
you have to design your product to save those people. Like, why do you think they've got all these warning messages on labels?
So true.
Yeah.
Like that one girl, gorilla glue girl.
Yeah,
If
man.
only, if only she owned a Tesla.
You got examples. I got examples. Let's
so yeah. So last one again. Really big part of Tesla, at least Tesla's future, is the solar. Any updates on that? Solar and Powerwall.
Mm-hmm. So, solar has, I mean, it's one of those things where, all right, if you have a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we can use, well, all right, I'll keep it limited. If you have a child and you're raising this child,
Mm-hmm.
you're putting all of your resources right, into making sure that child has the best life possible, right?
Correct.
At no point would you ever send your child out and be like, all right, I need you to make 4, 5, 6,000 a month, right? I need you to be profitable at 10, right?
So good.
Hey
Yeah.
man, the kid is young. You've got plans. You want them to grow to be something great, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really tough to ask for that today when they're 10 years old. And that's the thing about investing in general. Uh, you have to be able to see the trajectory of a company. It's
Mm-hmm.
really difficult to do, but once you get a good idea on what this company is doing and
Yep.
you check in on them, their fundamentals are still sound. That's one of the things you have to do your due diligence on. Is you have to make sure that their fundamentals match their planned goals. And the good
Mm-hmm.
thing about Tesla is they make it clear. They make it very clear. Like they say, hey, this is what we want to do. And then they'll say something like, okay, so with solar, after we've brainstormed, we figured out that it makes more sense to sell you batteries and solar panels together.
Yep.
Okay, so why does that make sense? Well, when the sun is beaming bright on your solar panels and you don't have a battery, there's going to come a time where you're making more power than you're using. And that's just wasted energy.
Correct.
We don't want to waste energy.
Actually, that's bad for the solar panels because it causes it to heat up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So the solar panel is gonna have to let go of that energy somehow.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it does that by heating up. So the solar panel gets hot. So it gets really, really hot that if you touch it, it could burn you. So
Wow.
that's actually bad for the panels themselves. But yeah,
So
keep going on.
instead of turning them off and doing
Mhm.
nothing with that, they can pull that energy into a battery pack, store it for a later date.
Yep.
And now here's why here's why I invest so much into this company. So what they're going to do is connect all of these solar panels and batteries to the grid. And they're going to throw in their little software and it's like, all right, whoever's producing too much energy, let's go ahead and pull it. So they'll pull software from one neighborhood that's really not you. I'm sorry, not software, but they'll use their software to pull energy from
Yeah.
a neighborhood that's not using an excessive amount of energy and supply it to another neighborhood that's using an excessive amount of energy.
Mm.
So now you've got a connected ecosystem of solar panels. And all
Oh.
he has to do is just say, all right, we need power here. All right, people with Tesla solar panels and power walls, send it there. And then, you just move back and forth. And every transaction, like we said earlier, will be monetized. And so they'll
Mm.
take their half a penny or whatever they take from it. And at the end of the day, that's going to be worth more tomorrow than it is today. So it's just one of those things where you have to keep in mind. It's they're making big plans. Like they're not messing around.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is the media needs to see profit today.
Sure.
And
Sure.
they're
Yeah.
too yeah.
Today's world is just so clickbaity. Everything is kind of like a baby crying, "I want it now. I want it now. I want it now." But like yeah, the example you gave of raising a child, I can't really think of a more perfect example to give that. Yeah, some things good things take time. They always do. They always will. So yeah. So Elon can take all the time he wants. Again, like I said, Elon always delivers. Okay.
Now hold on. Now all
What do you
we,
mean?
we need to start seeing returns, but I don't care. Not this year. It doesn't have to be this year. Continue
uh,
to grow, and eventually it'll pay off. But
it will pay off. It will pay off. It will pay
he's 2040 and he's still talking about we're still growing.
off.
It's like, all right,
Oh yeah, nah. I don't want. I don't want to wait that long, man. 5, 10 years maximum.
oh shoot, yeah.
But yeah, I feel I know what you mean. But yeah, I feel like that's a really good that pretty much captures most of the information. So as far as total reaction, what would you say this was a good call or a bad call, somewhere in between? Like what would you rate this?
That's tough. Like it wasn't a bad call.
Mm,
Again, and the reason why is because they're still on track with their fundamentals.
True.
Um, a lot of analysts, it's weird. Like, it's so weird to me. Um, they don't understand what the company, or it's either they don't understand what the company is, or they understand what it is, but there's someone or their constituencies or whoever it is that they're managing needs them to produce now. And they're upset when they're not producing. And they're upset when they're not producing now, which it makes sense because the share price is high. There's high expectations.
Yep.
But if it bothers you, sell the stock, invest in something else.
Goodbye, Ford.
Oh, hey, look, you do what you want to do. I feel like that's a good idea. By all means, go ahead. But yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to say. Just keep in mind when people are telling you that Tesla's overvalued or it's a bad company, understand that today is just the beginning of what this company is going to be able to do. And I personally feel that the reason why this share price is so high is because there's a large amount of people who understand what this company is going to do in the long term. And they're willing to pay that high price because they have a good understanding of what the company is and what it's going to do. I strongly feel that if anyone spends about 2 hours researching a company and what they're capable of, I think they'll be all right as far as investing in the company. They'll appreciate what they've done and where they're going to go. So
yes, that's some really good advice. I completely agree with you. So yeah, that's it for the episode, guys. Be sure to tune in on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. See you guys on the next one.
mm-hmm.